Hina, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Thank you for having me.
You're in the heat of an argument with your spouse or a colleague or somebody. How do you de-escalate that conflict? How do you calm down in that situation? What do you do?
This is probably one of the hardest things to talk about because when you are in a state of anger or conflict or heightened emotion, you're not in control of your actions. And to teach this concept it doesn't take a very long time to teach it, but to master it and to implement it takes a lifetime of practice. So whenever, people talk about de-escalation, I kind of do an internal chuckle like,
Do you have issues with de-escalation too?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people out there are like, oh, you're a therapist, so you probably never get into arguments. And I'm like, I'm still a human being. And to understand conflict or to understand de-escalation of conflict, you first have to kind of peer into your brain and get a deeper understanding that for all the neurologists out there, this is not a lesson in neuroscience, it's a lesson in psychology. But we're going to focus on two parts of your brain. Your childlike brain, which is deals with your emotional center, the amygdala, where all your emotions come from, your anger comes from there, and then your frontal lobes that deal with your thinking and reasoning skills. But in therapy, I always call it your child brain and your adult brain. De-escalation comes from your adult brain and anger comes from your child brain. Mastering de-escalation means knowing which part of the brain you're in. If you're in your child brain, you're not de-escalating anything, okay? It's only going to get worse and worse and worse. So at the heart of understanding de-escalation is the ability to understand what part of the brain am I in right now. And when it comes to anger management or when it comes to couples counseling and teaching couples to de-escalate or any form of de-escalation, parent-child model or workplace model, the very first question I always tell my clients is ask yourself in your head, what part of the brain am I in right now? Because if you're in your child brain, you're not de-escalating.
But I can just see somebody switching very quickly from the adult brain to the child brain in a matter of seconds, right?
Back and forth. Yeah, the system is very fluid, right? Like it goes back and forth. Your adult brain is the place where your control centers are. So your ability to control what you say, control your actions, control your thoughts. If you're in your adult brain, you know what the outcome of your actions is going to be. When you're in your child brain, it's like a wild child running crazy in your head, right? Like anything is going to happen and you're out of control. So you're not aware of the outcome either.
So how do you regain that control?
Understanding brain function. Okay. The first and the most important thing, understanding brain function, that I have the choice to be in my child brain. I have the choice to be in my adult brain. When you want to bring your adult brain online, now, sorry, let me sort of go back a little and help give some context. Human beings, by our fitra, by our nature, we are always designed to be emotional first. Okay, so this is an automated brain response. You can't be in your adult brain or you can't be in your frontal lobes when something happens. Your first reaction, your first response is emotional. SubhanAllah, it's a very human trait, right? Like we panic, we worry, we get angry, an emotional response is very normal. There's nothing wrong with that. So you shouldn't be afraid of the fact that you're having an emotional response, but you don't want to stay stuck in just the emotional response. You want to be able to shift yourself into your adult thinking brain, and that's where your response should be coming from. So it's okay to feel the feels as long as your response is coming from a thought out process or a process where you are reasoning with yourself and you're looking at the end result of what your actions are going to be. So when you notice, when you have that sense of awareness, okay, I'm in my child brain right now. I have to shift into my adult brain. There's a series of things that you can practice and the series of things that you can do. Number one comes with awareness. The second thing is, we always talk about this, is the change of state. It comes from the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ as well, is that when you are in a state of anger or frustration or, the stress is high, change your physical state. So if you're, standing up, sit down, lie down, and not verbatim, like, okay, you're in a conflict, like, all right, I need to take a nap now, or I need to lie down. That's not what the idea here is. Change your physical state. When you change positions, when you change your state, the chemistry of your brain is changing as well. And it's giving you access to more parts of your brain. If you're focused and intently fighting with somebody, or you're in one position, your brain is staying still as well. So this change of state is a beautiful thing. Another thing is the use of water. If I said to you, describe anger to me, or describe the color of anger or the state of anger, a lot of people relate it to fire, hot, heat, red, orange, yellow. Like this is generally what people associate escalation or a heated argument or fights or anger with. So how do you put out a fire? With water. Okay, so use of water, drinking water, washing your face, making wudu. These are beautiful, beautiful ways of regaining control back into your adult brain so that you're able to work towards de-escalation. I know that there's this very popular one where people say, walk away from the fight or walk away from the argument. And people who live the argument will tell you, hang on a second, don't walk away, because walking away is actually a form of escalating, because the other partner thinks, or, the other person thinks, wait, why would you leave? It's perceived as a sign of abandonment and rejection, and seen as a form of escalation. As controversial as it sounds, walking away is actually a very healthy thing, as long as it's consensual between two people. Okay. So, if my husband and I are in an argument, and it's generally, the male gender needs that space, and, they need to reassess their thoughts, and they need to recalibrate. Not to say that women don't, but generally men usually walk away from the argument, whereas women want to pursue the conversation. I want to tell the gentleman out there, it's okay to walk away as long as it's consensual. So if your wife knows, if you can communicate that little, that one sentence, and if you can say to your partner, I love you, I care about you, I don't want to escalate our argument, so I'm going to go clear my head, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk it out. This is probably one of the best ways for you to de-escalate a conflict, believe it or not, because it allows both of you to go from your emotional brain into your reasoning brain. Just that physical space that you give the argument.
What about if it's a conflict that's like never ending? So like every time you come back to that issue, it becomes an argument again, and you've got to de-escalate. Then you got to walk away, and then how do you
keep doing it?
Exactly.
Right? You're 10 years later, you're still having
because that's what marriage
argument.
is about, right? A lot of times these conflicts don't go away; they persist for years and years and years. And there's no way of really solving it. So
2 ways that we can address thematic patterns of conflict in marriage. Believe it or not, the first way is just let it go. Okay, let it go. There's 60% of arguments in marriages, if the Gottman Institute that I work with a lot, I use a lot of their methodology. According to the Gottman Institute, 60% of problems in marriages are not solvable. And that's okay too. Okay, that statement, agree to disagree, it needs to be real in a relationship.
So tolerate each other.
Accept and understand.
Okay.
To be understanding that this is my partner's position on something, or this is my partner's way of handling something, and just learning to understand. But the second one is seek help for it. If your partner, if you said that, the pattern and the cycle continues, that we walk away to de-escalate, but we come together and it escalates, and then, it's like kind of like we're going in circles over and over again. If anytime a couple has a reoccurring problem that they are unable to resolve on their own, seek early intervention. You're stuck in a rut. You're stuck in a pattern. Seek the guidance or the help of a loved one, an elder in your family, if that's what's going to help. Go to therapy for it. Go to marriage counseling for it. Get yourself the help, the tools and the skills that you need to be able to put that problem to rest. And sometimes that requires, that extra helping hand.
So Hina, is a person who is de-escalating the conflict, is that the person who loses the conflict?
I think it's definitely when people think about a conflict between two people, we think from the perspective of winning and losing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think from that perspective, we always say, well, you know, if I'm de-escalating, or if I'm the one who's putting out this fire, if I'm approaching my partner first, that means I'm the loser in the relationship, or I'm the loser in the argument.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to not think about this from the perspective of this dunya. When you look at it from the perspective of the worldly ways, then yes, perhaps, you know, approaching somebody to de-escalate, or, you know, trying to resolve conflict makes you appear to be the person who is losing. I want you to now shift your focus and look from the lens of our akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the person who reconciles and favors the person who de-escalates or reconciles between two people. In Allah's eyes, not only have you won the argument, but you've won Jannah, right? Like, you've won Allah, and you've won your ability to be like a true believer, because you're not focused on the argument itself that, hey, you know, I need to prove my point, or I need to be right. You need to be happy as an individual. Your happiness index has more worth and more value than your ego index that, you know, I have to be right about everything.
Mm-hmm.
People who tend to be right about everything are the most unhappiest people out there. So if you are taking that initiative, you know, if you are taking that initiative to de-escalate, always look at it from this approach that this is going to win me favor in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am the favored one because I chose to reconcile. I chose to mend hearts. I chose to mend a fight. And the act of de-escalation itself is so beautiful. It's so empowering. People who de-escalate an argument, people who, you know, put out that fire, that's the more powerful person. The person who stays angry is not in a place of power. They're in a place of weakness, because their the position that they're coming from is being ruled by their ego. It's being ruled by their child brain. They're stuck in their child brain. The person who's de-escalating is the one who's in their adult brain, who is in control of the situation, in control of the conversation. And that's a very empowering position. So if we can all learn to shift our focus and say that by de-escalating and putting out the fire in an argument, you are empowered and you are favored by Allah. And when you change that perspective, you look at your position then from a very different viewpoint. You don't feel like, oh no, I'm at it again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to de-escalate again. I'm the only one. I always get this in marriage counseling that, you know, that one partner will be like, I'm always de-escalating the argument. And I was like, well, look at that. You are more in control. You are more in power, and you are more in favor. Allah is happy with you. So just shift your perspective. And by de-escalating your argument, you bring your relationship back, or the situation back, into a healthy, happy space. That's where you both want to be, right?
Thank you, Hina. That was really so beautifully put. We can learn so much from you. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair.
If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe. And please donate to support our work at QuranSpeaks.com.